Today, we're diving into a really profound paradox, told through a deeply personal story. I mean, what does it mean to be constantly watched, but at the same time, systematically ignored? To be completely visible, but somehow written out of your own history? It's a question that cuts right to the heart of whose stories get told and whose are just erased.
In this one sentence, this is the key to everything. It draws this powerful line in the sand. See, this isn't just about being overlooked or forgotten by accident. No, this is about a deliberate, active process of being removed. This is a story about fighting back when someone tries to hit delete on your life.
So, what does it actually mean to be present but unacknowledged? Well, look, it's one thing to be in a room and have nobody notice you. It's a whole other thing to be the one who built the room, furnished it, invited everyone in, only to have the official records say you were never even there. That's the paradox we're digging into.
Yeah, it's so important we're all on the same page here. Erasure isn't passive, it's an action. It's the deliberate choice to remove someone from the story, from history. It's treating them like they don't exist. This idea is absolutely central to the experiences we're about to walk through.
And this whole experience of erasure, well, it started young, really young. The author's childhood was basically a tale of two completely different worlds, and they were sending these wild, conflicting messages about her own self-worth. One world was her sanctuary, the other was a battlefield.
So in one world, you have her grandmother. The story is just filled with this incredible warmth. She wasn't just loved, she was spoiled, she was cherished. Her grandmother would say it out loud all the time, building the solid foundation of being seen and valued for exactly who she was.
But then, the second she stepped outside that sanctuary, the entire narrative just flipped on its head. School wasn't a place for learning or growing, not for her. It was a place where she was singled out, targeted, and made to feel like she just didn't belong.
I mean, this slide just captures that brutal contrast perfectly. On one side, you have the pure, unconditional love of her grandmother, "You are my favorite," and on the other, this cruel, dehumanizing name from school, Mata Hari the monkey. Can you even imagine trying to build a sense of self when you're being pulled between those two extremes every single day?
Now you might think, okay, that was childhood, things get better. But this pattern of creating something only to be erased from it, it didn't stop. It actually got worse in her professional and creative life. She literally became the architect of a world that would later pretend she never even drew the blueprints.
So picture it, Twitter is brand new. It's like this wide-open digital frontier. And she saw its potential immediately as a place to build real community and culture. The source material talks about this incredible excitement. You know, the energy of a pioneer who's ready to build something new and meaningful from scratch.
And she did it. She established Afro Twitter, which became this vibrant hub. She built all these websites, shaping the digital world we know today. She was a foundational voice. And then, nothing. Silence. When the official histories of Black Twitter started getting written, her name, her work, it was just gone. A perfect example of creation followed by total erasure.
And this right here is why it all matters so much. This isn't about chasing fame or wanting credit. It's about the basic, fundamental human need to have your reality acknowledged. Like she says, it's about truth. It's the simple, powerful act of saying, hey, I was there, I did this, in a world that keeps insisting you didn't.
But the story takes an even darker turn here, because sometimes being seen doesn't just lead to being ignored. It leads to being targeted. This is the point where visibility stops being about erasure and starts being an invitation for direct, real, and frankly terrifying harm. It starts with these just bizarre, unsettling moments. I mean, try to imagine this. You're just standing in the checkout line at the Piggly Wiggly. Some old guy walks up to you, doesn't say a word, pulls out an actual camera, not a phone, a camera, takes your picture, and just walks away. It's this act of surveillance with no context, designed to make you feel watched and totally powerless. And then it escalates. You're waiting in line to pick up your child from school, and a car just slams into yours, in broad daylight, in front of a line of other cars full of witnesses. The driver doesn't even stop, just hits you and goes. It's this public act of aggression that's basically daring anyone to do a single thing about it.
So what happens when you report it? When you give the police the license plate number and tell them about all the witnesses? 0. That is the number of calls she got back. They didn't even file a report. The official response was just silence, a systemic confirmation that the harm you experienced doesn't count. It was just another layer of erasure.
And then there's this incident, which is so surreal it sounds like it's from a movie. She's driving for Uber on a quiet street, and suddenly, parked cars start opening their doors in front of her, one after another, perfectly timed to make her slam on the brakes, again and again. It feels coordinated, like a warning or some kind of test. It feels designed to terrorize.
But here's the crucial part. She wasn't alone. Her passenger, a student from Emory University, saw the whole thing. And his reaction? Just this shocked, Christ! That's everything. It's the external validation, the proof. It confirms that these bizarre, targeted things were real. They were not just in her head.
So after all of this, after being written out of history and targeted in public, what are you supposed to do? How do you fight back? For the author, the answer is storytelling. The ultimate act of resistance against erasure is to pick up the pen and write yourself back into existence.
This idea right here is such a powerful reframe of the whole experience. It's a massive shift away from the self-doubt of, am I going crazy? To the empowerment of, no, I am perceptive. It says those feelings aren't paranoia. They're your spirit decoding a hostile world. You're not imagining it. You're interpreting the data correctly.
And this really is the core takeaway. The fight isn't just about surviving the car crash or the schoolyard taunts. The real war is surviving the systemic denial that those things even happened in the first place. It's fighting against the gaslighting that tells you your pain isn't real, and that is a lonely, exhausting, and completely different kind of fight.
So, while this story is deeply personal, it's definitely not unique, and it forces us all to ask a tough question. Whose contributions are we celebrating while we erase the people who actually built them? Whose pain do we validate, and whose do we just dismiss? And ultimately, whose stories are we as a society still refusing to see?